This meeting is being live streamed, so we should be good to go as soon as I see the confirmation on the YouTube page. And we're good to go. Welcome everyone to the January 2024 MBTA Rider Oversight Committee. I am Stefan Wunsch. I'm a resident of Lynn. I'm the co-chair of the overall committee and also co-chair of the marketing operations and communications subcommittee, which for the purposes of meetings is combined with the capital and finance subcommittee, but we still consider them to be two separate meetings. I'm going to ask Jacob just to say hi, partly for just an audio check, make sure that we can hear you and you can hear us. And then after that, I'll ask Len and then Wig to just introduce themselves and say hello.
Hi, I'm Jacob Deck. I'm a committee member, resident of Arlington, Massachusetts, and I am on the marketing and communications and ops subcommittee as well as the finance subcommittee as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Len, same thing. Would you mind just saying hi, partly for the audio and
Sure. I'm Leonard Diggins, co-chair of the Capital Investment and Finance Subcommittee. I also live in Arlington, but I live on the wrong side of Route 60 from Jacob. So I'm in East Arlington, but Jake more towards the Heights. So happy to be here.
the wrong side of something in Arlington? I didn't think there was a wrong side of anything in Arlington.
Route 60. Yeah, well, there's a wrong side of Mass Ave, but I guess there's that too, but yeah.
And Wig, I know I see you you're typing in the Zoom chat that you want to stay muted since it's loud, but just wanted to introduce yourself, Wig, and just say, where you live and what you're doing and anything else you want to add before we
Yeah,
go into
so
public
it's super loud here, so I'm gonna stay mute and listen. I can hear you guys, but I'm Wig Seymour from Somerville, long time rock member.
Well, Wig, believe it or not, well, speaking for myself, I didn't hear any background noise at all. I think the Zoom software is doing a great job of audio filtering. I didn't hear anything from you other than your own voice. So I don't think you have to worry about, even if you wanted to unmute, I wouldn't be concerned. We'll let you know if it becomes a concern.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything either.
Yeah, I didn't hear any noise at all.
I'm in a pretty randomly noisy environment, so and maybe that works well with constant sound, So I'll stay mute because of that.
Okay, cool. I was saying to folks just a little while ago that I don't think we need to be particularly strict with the agenda, especially since particularly because Kat Benish, who is going to be our special guest starting right about now, is actually ill. I hope she gets better very soon. Kat, we wish you well. Hopefully we'll have Kat at a future meeting. We can certainly talk about the alternative bus service and that kind of as on the agenda, strategy, and oversight. But since we don't have our planned guest, I have no problem. And does anyone, Len, Wig, Jacob, any concerns if we want to give maybe a little more time than usual to our attendees if they want to have public comment?
Of course not.
Okay, cool. I appreciate
no
that.
objections to that.
All right, thanks. So for the record, because I can't force anyone to say anything, and it's only if you want to. If you want to say something, feel free. You don't have to unmute. You don't have to say anything. I just want to give you the opportunity since you're here, Hunter and Winfield. Feel free. Otherwise, you can just stay muted and we'll continue on with the meeting. Let's say if I don't see either of you unmute or want to say anything in, I don't know, 90 seconds, we'll move on, but feel free. Or like I said, you can type into the Zoom chat. We consider that part of our public record. That goes into our minutes.
I think they'll make up their mind within 90 seconds. So if they haven't by now, they probably don't want to. We can just
I understand. Yeah. I
yeah.
just want to make sure that people are
not having problems unmuting. Yeah, they can chime in, if they were having problems and just unmute it.
Yep. And you can also raise your hand too. I mean, the
Yes.
raise hand function in Zoom will flag to us that you would like to speak. You don't have to. Okay. Yep. I see. Okay, that sounds great. I see it in the Zoom chat, so that's great. I will. You know what? I'll just leave you as able to talk because we're not that formal that I need to revoke the permission. Any concerns, Len, Wig, Jacob?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, we prefer that folks who are guests hold questions until the end, but I mean, by all means, raise your hand if you know, we are not as strict as MBTA or MassDOT public meetings. Okay. Does anyone want to talk about anything on the topic of alternative bus service or anything related to what we would have talked about with Cat? Or should we move on to, I mean, we can even jump around on the agenda since we are at this point ahead of schedule by a full half hour.
By alternative bus service, what do you mean? Are we talking about shuttles? Are we talking about
Well,
hydrogen?
it's more than shuttles, I mean, but it's in the shuttle family, Jacob. So it really has to do with not only like the emergency stuff, bus service that like when the red line goes down unexpectedly, but also being the planned work like where they do extended work on a line, and then it's shuttle, but they consider it like alternative bus service, so shuttles kind of like kept for the emergency stuff, being and then when there's like the long term.
Len, somehow you've muted yourself.
Where'd you lose me?
I
Long
think.
term, and then you cut out.
Okay,
Yes, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Jacob.
Yeah, I said long term couples. There's the long term plan outages, meaning of heavy rail, is when they consider it alternative bus service, and also one of the differences between shuttle and alternative is that shuttle will primarily use only T buses, and the alternative will often use non-T buses, and so it's kind of paid for through another line item in the budget. So that's the main distinction. But I saw Kat present and discuss this issue at the MBTA advisory board, and I thought she did a good job. And she was looking for input from people. She's actually willing to come back to the advisory board, but she and her group seem to want input, from as many parties as are willing to give it. So I thought, we like that, and so I figured I would ask her, and she was enthusiastic in accepting the invitation. So I'm sure as soon as she comes back, or as soon as she's back in shape, she'll be willing to come. So I responded to her, said, I'll check back with you in a week and see if you want to reschedule February. Yeah, I'm actually, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think I cut you off. Do you want to finish?
No, I thought, I was going to say, I'm thinking a month from now at the Full Rock meeting as opposed to the combined CIF meeting, but I'll leave that up to her. One thing I will point out that at our February Full Rock meeting, starting at 6 o'clock, there's going to be a virtual meeting on the the proposed fare changes, which is the reduction, the low fare, the new low fare, or low income fare, the new lower fare for lower income people, and so we can maybe switch over and attend that. We might even I might try and see if I can get someone to come and talk with us, at our February 13th meeting. We'll see.
I'm glad
So
you
that's
brought
all.
that up. I hadn't looked further forward than what was here on this page, February 12th. You said the one after that is.
The one after what?
You said that you said at 6 o'clock on on a conflicting day with one of our
Yeah,
meetings.
on the 27th. Yeah, so I saw that
Okay.
in the deck on the proposed fare changes where they talk about outreach.
Okay.
So they give a listing
There it
of
is.
all their outreach
Got it.
planned meetings. Yeah. So that's a long answer to your question, Jacob. Anything? Did that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
All right, sure.
Okay. Well, I'm actually glad you mentioned this, Len, because I was hoping to spend a few minutes talking about the proposed fare changes this evening. I was hoping that we could get um, oh my God, our other committee member, Craig. That was, sorry, I apologize. Just had a complete brain failure. I was hoping that Craig would be able to join us. I think he's particularly interested in the in this proposed fare change um, plan, but we'll see if he's able to join us. Oh, Craig, awesome! I hadn't caught it. Awesome. Let me bring you in as able to talk, Craig. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't notice it before. Promote to panelist. Why? I just go wrong.
I'm glad you're here, Craig.
Yes, absolutely right.
Stefan was missing you something bad, man. I mean, you're gonna have to go back and listen to the video. He was like really missing you. So
Big
sorry.
Len's being facetious, but
Oh no, I'm not. You can go
no,
back and listen.
it's
You go back and
important
listen
that
to the
you're.
video.
It's important to have you here, Craig. Yes,
Sorry,
my,
sorry, I'm late.
that's
No,
all
it's
right.
okay.
That's quite all right.
I missed you too. I was just a little more quiet about it. I was
There we
missing
go.
you. Uh,
Okay. Thank you. I'm really glad that you chimed in on the chat and I caught it because I might not have noticed that you had joined and we're just showing up as attendee. All right, so we're all in business here. We need to make sure. Yeah, so Zoom wise, you
So-
three gents are the co-hosts in case my computer blows up. Okay. Excellent.
just so you know, Craig, Kat couldn't make it. She has she's ill. So we're gonna reschedule.
Thank you.
And so
Yep.
we were talking about low income, the proposed fare changes for low income, incorporate the low income fare into our mix.
Should we go
So
into
I'll-
that now? I mean, we could
Yeah.
start talking about that. As I was saying before, but I don't know if you heard me, Craig. Without Kat here, we're basically at this point 25 minutes ahead of the written agenda. But as is usual, we don't have to stick to it. We can jump around. I'm happy to go into the discussion of the proposed fare changes. I believe I have the PDF up. At least I thought I did. That's track improvement. I thought I did. All right, now I'm embarrassed again. Where was it?
So if you go to past
One of those
meetings,
meetings. Yeah.
so you might need
Proposed
to go
fare
back.
change.
You might need to go back a page to
Okay, sorry.
previous meetings in January. Then it was under the audit and finance meeting.
Oh, okay. I thought we were trying to find. I'm sorry.
What are you looking for?
Where I saw it. I was trying to find the PDF, but
Well, you will get the PDF here.
okay. I was trying to look forward into the public meetings about it, but it's not. It's not
no.
there. Okay, that's why
Right,
I'm confused.
right.
It's because the document it's not part of the upcoming meetings. It's in the
I don't think they've posted any materials for those upcoming meetings at this
Okay.
point. So
Got
they
it.
may
So I need to go back to.
they'll probably post a different kind of deck for those meetings. So you go to the past meetings.
Yeah.
You want the audits.
Got it.
And
Sorry for the jumping around
that's
here.
okay. It's a complex world with lots of.
Okay, and you said it was the
I think it's the audit and finance committee.
audit
They're all-
and finance.
Yeah, the third one from the top, the
Got it.
19th. There you go.
Okay.
And
There it
then,
is. That's it. Sorry about that.
no need to apologize. But
No.
you can as much as you want.
Well, I'm sorry if I apologize too much. Sorry.
Never
Okay.
too much, Jeff. Never too much stuff.
All right. Now, I have to admit, I personally have only skimmed this.
Uh-huh.
So if one of you folks wants to highlight anything in particular uh, for starting us off, feel free.
Well, I mean, first I want to say that I'm happy to see, the team moving forward with this. Granted, the governor, has really created a mandate for it pretty much, I guess as much as can be mandated. I mean, $5 million were put into me getting this program up and started, yeah, I don't know to what extent the T could say we're not going to do this, but it is projected to have a significant impact on the T's financial on the T finances, fair revenue losses based on increase in ridership and increase in utilization of the system is projected to be like 31 to 38 million in fiscal year 29, and 79 million in this upcoming fiscal year. And so it's nothing to sneeze at, but I'm still happy that we're moving forward with it. As they mentioned in the deck, it is something that is being done by a significant number of properties around the country. One thing that they mentioned that I don't recall was that they said they had done like a randomized trial here, like in 2018, 2019, and they've seen some positive results. I'm just not remembering that. So I'm I do remember the like they made the 28 or something free for a bit, and so I
Yes.
remember,
I think it was a total of 3 routes, all
yeah,
in the
28 is still
28.
free.
Go ahead, Jacob.
yeah,
What's that?
The 28 and those other 2 routes are still free.
yeah, okay, so I guess that's what they're talking about. I just didn't remember them as like a randomized trial. You know what I mean? I'm kind of thinking like, what do they mean by randomized? So I'm gonna go back and just look just for curiosity purposes. I mean, it has no bearings really on on what we're doing. So 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 that's it. You know, nothing more to report. Other than that they are going to have public meetings. Starting on the 29th, and I'm running to the 27th. 27th was a virtual one, as it would conflict with the second hour of our usual meeting, and maybe, we can, well, I see they have like a meeting in Worcester on the 13th, which would be our normal, um, all subcommittee meeting. And so we may not be able to get them to talk with us at that meeting. But then it's 6 to 8, so we could have our meeting and then go and jump in on that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Let me call out that one of our guests, Hunter, put through a link in the Zoom chat that I'm showing on my screen right now, saying that was an MIT study that was the 2019. And I've got that up right now just for reference. Thank you for that, Hunter.
All right, great. Excellent. All right. I wasn't remembering that. Yeah. All right. I'll go and read that article.
Do you want me to go through, like scroll down a little bit?
Well, you can for your sake. I'm not very good. I mean, it's really small, I'm in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I need, it's fine, but I need a different context for reading something like this. But feel free. Everyone else can take it in, just
Okay.
because I'm deficient in that way doesn't mean everyone else should be deprived of grabbing whatever information.
Okay, fair enough. Well, the link is there, and like I was saying before, anything in the Zoom chat gets into the YouTube recording, and it's part of our official minutes, so it's not going to get lost.
Okay.
I make sure about that.
Cool.
Go ahead.
My only questions are just if you look at the timeline they kind of present in there, it's very it's not a technical timeline, right? This is about the uh this is about getting board approval. This is about doing the equity analysis. This is about reaching out and finding partners. I'd be more interested to probe on what that last green circle there really means, right? Like to implement gosh knows we've had challenges with the Charlie card system and the vending machines and all that before. It's not like that's necessarily a well humming, a perfect piece of technology that we can, I have confidence that we can go in and flip a switch and, implement half off fares for a certain percentage of the population overnight. So I'd be curious to know more about the amount of work needed on the technical side to implement that. And I'm also interested to know how they cover certain scenarios, right? I understand, or how do you when you board a bus, how do you get that discounted fare if you're paying in cash? Like how does that work? Can you get it at a terminal? How does that work? So I'm more interested in the thinking it's a good idea here. I'm interested in the details of how it's actually going to be implemented and how you actually effectuate it.
Well, I guess the question is like at what level of detail, because you can get some sense of the factors that they're taking into account in the same deck. It has like activity on low income fares, and
It's very detailed about who. It's very detailed about why, kind of pegging, talking about
application process.
uh, it,
There's also some of the costs for implementation, both design and ongoing. I think it's this next slide. This one right here. This hints at it. Technology
Yeah.
innovation, $150,000 annual. I think that's a hint, but that's ongoing. 580,000, so $500,000 for technology for pre-launch.
Right. Yeah, that's the piece that's the piece I'd like to unpack a little bit more. So like what's the understanding there's the bullet there is fare collection system software update. Like beyond the system, calling it, and we have a few technologists on this call here, calling it a system software update, I think is de-emphasizing the significant amount of work and thinking that has to go into a successful launch on something like this.
Oh, right. And of course, because we're still talking about Chiton Bachman equipment.
Right. That's what I'm trying to tie it to, is that like
I keep forgetting. That's the whole cubic implementation is much further down the road.
Right. So we're still on a legacy platform.
Right.
We're making a significant change to a legacy platform in theoretically a relatively short amount of time.
But I think it's just really just putting in another fare, and so the challenge is in determining who gets that fare. It seems like on that level, they have a process in mind and determining who's eligible, because they did it with like the youth fare. So we created like a whole another like fare line, our tariffs for youth. So we've done this, so this is now just another group. So it's not going to require any additional equipment. It really is just determining who's eligible and the code for that group.
Remind me on the youth fares. To get the youth fare, what do I have to do?
I don't
be
recall.
a high school student.
Oh.
You're a high school student. The high schools or middle schools or whatever, the schools that are eligible in the MBTA service area will hand you, as a student Charlie card. That student Charlie card gets half fares.
Right.
Load it up, and it gives you your $1, your 75-cent fare on the bus. If you flash it to a commuter rail conductor, you'll get the half fares on the commuter rail. I know because I went to Arlington High and had one for 2 years.
that's a very different implementation model than you would with an adult, right? And it makes sense, right? You go to a school, everybody in the school is of age or underage, I should say. So you can presume they're underage, and you can give them the appropriate ticket, and you can move on. You can move on with life. To build in a income test and then figure out how that works. Can I only add value at the Charlie card store because that's the only place where they verify my income level, or can I do it from a regular Scheidt bot machine?
I think that if you can only add value from a Charlie card store, that's ridiculous. Maybe you can only pick up the Charlie card from the Charlie card store, but that's also ridiculous because the people that are getting this fare don't have time to go to the Charlie card store.
Right. And this is so I don't have the answers now. These are the kind of questions I want to ask because I would then begin to challenge their assumptions on ridership, how many people are going to take advantage of the program and the like. It's all the implementation matters.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the other question is if we're expecting, hang on, free fares would incentivize more systems. Yeah, I think, if we're getting a low income fare and we want to make sure that people who need the fare get it, we should just cut fares across the board.
Oh, okay. Noted. So it's all right.
No, there's a legitimate question there to ask, right? Like if you balance what the cost is to maintain this program, to do income verification, to maintain a separate fare, to do the software update,
Yeah.
you could do that versus just making balance that against the cost. Like if to run this program is, and there's a difference between the revenue loss versus the operational cost, right? Right. It looks like the operational costs are fairly minimal, right? So it's not that I don't think you could theoretically take a $3 million a year operational cost. Operational costs is that millions? Is that 13 to 14 million in operational costs?
Where are you seeing that number?
I believe those are all millions in this table.
Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Million. Yeah.
But those I think are operational costs me from increased ridership, right?
Okay, so that's ridership increase.
Yes.
It's that bottom line of ongoing administrative costs
Right.
that it's about $3 million a year.
Right. Yeah. Initial program design, ongoing administrative costs, yes. So if you were to cut fares, half to half, across the board, you then have to get a sense of what would be the increase in ridership, because right now they're projecting, I think, like 60,000 more people using the system with the low income fare so that will boost your costs significantly.
Sorry. Can I look at hang on. Where are you seeing this? I'm interested in the 60 million number because the evidence we have from the 28 fare free pilot suggests that the increased ridership will come either from people that already use the T using it more, or if we make buses free, something like that, they'll come from mode cannibalization. So like people will shift from the subway to the bus, which is free.
Well, I don't know how they came up with the number. I just know that on the low income fares program impact. So low income fare program is expected to enroll 62,000 riders and induce up to 8.1 million annual trips on the fixed route system by fiscal year 2029.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know how they got the number.
I mean, we have data that suggests that people are willing to pay more money for better service. So the question is cutting, well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for 2 seconds. Is cutting fares actually inequitable?
Well,
if it deprives the team of money that it needs to make the system better, which is the really important thing to riders.
Well, they are going to do an equity analysis, but the equity analysis will not answer that question. That's just not how the equity analysis is done. So I mean, that's the question, but I say we can make it an issue, bring it up, present it to folks. I'll say noted again. And where to go with it is up to you.
I think that the pilot is an interesting idea, and it'll give us some cool data.
Yeah. Yeah, it's questionable to me as to what extent this is a pilot versus like just a new program, because this is really being pushed by the governor, and so yeah, and I think it also will determine, how if it lasts more than 6 months, he's going to have a hard time undoing it, So if I'm not seeing it being proposed as pilot either, because a pilot is a very specific amount of time, because you do certain kinds of equity analysis, and which just let me back up a little bit. I'm not sure if the equity analysis they're doing now is one that you do only if you're going to do a pilot. So I'm thinking this is like permanent, like the youth fair. So we'll learn something anyways,
Yeah. I don't know if I can find it in a timely fashion, so I'm just going to ask folks here. Do you happen to know this this 8.1 million annual trips that's expected to be brought in by this new program for fares? How does that compare to the total annual fixed route ridership now? I'm completely forgetting even like what's the power of 10 for the current annual ridership. I'm finding it hard to relate this 8.1 additional to what we have now as far as percentage even.
Well, I think unlinked fixed route trips before the pandemic were at least 1 million a day. That's kind of the ballpark number that I have.
Okay.
Yeah, a day. Unlinked.
Yep.
So these aren't saying unlinked. I'm assuming that they're unlinked.
That's reasonable, yeah.
But let's be really conservative and say like it was 500,000. So that gets you like 180 million, 200 million a year. And so this 8.1, would be roughly 4%. But I think I think we're probably in the range of like 2% boost in annual trips.
Oh. I don't want to be overly cynical, but I wonder if they didn't include a percentage, because that didn't sound as good as 8.1 million annual trips added, as opposed to like, a single digit percentage. But I'm being cynical. Sorry, I don't want to be cynical here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a good idea, a good program.
Yeah, and I don't think
I haven't found anything. I personally haven't found anything to fault with this. But like I said at the beginning, I've only skimmed this.
Right. And they're not trying to sell it, because I think the governor said, I want this done. So there's no need to try to skew things one way or another, so
no, and that's why I think it's happening either way, right?
Yeah.
So my interest is less about, is it a good idea or a bad idea?
Right.
My interest is more, okay, you say you're going to do this. I need to hold you accountable to do it in a timely fashion and on budget, and to hit the ridership metrics that you think you're going to hit. Like that's the 3 ways of success. Did you do it on time? Did you do it on budget? And did it give you the result that you expected, which is additional trips? So those are the 3 things that we would want to monitor along the way. And obviously, this is a PowerPoint for not a technical implementation plan.
Right.
But where I see the PowerPoint light is kind of glossing over some of the technical challenges I think they might have with a legacy platform, and I think depending on how difficult it is to get the processes to get verification, I would question some of the additional trips guesses or estimates that they have in there.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't know how they came up with numbers. and it'll be, yeah, it'll be hard to tease out perhaps if there are more trips, what is the source of those trips? They, yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible, because as Jacob pointed out, I think with one of the more recent free fare test, the one that was done by Boston, paid for by Boston, it seemed like it had more mode shift within transit than it had to do with bringing more people into the transit world. So mode shift between bus and, I guess, between bus and more people who stayed on bus than went to subway.
Or rode on different buses.
What's that?
Or rode on different buses, the 28 parallel
Right, rode on.
routes.
Yeah, that was more so it, Jacob. Right, rode on different buses, the free buses, as opposed to getting people out of cars. And also, and I guess one way you can determine whether or not there's just a general increase in ridership. I take it back. What I was about to say was wrong. It'll be hard to determine if the increase in ridership is due to overall increase in ridership. It's a little circular, but I'm just saying, like, if people start using, this transit system more because of whatever reason, it might be hard to tease that out from the low income use of the system. But I guess you could track the passes,
Yeah,
that they have.
you could do a different metric, not just
Yeah.
ridership, but look at,
Yeah.
what are your targets?
Yeah.
What are your targets for applications, right? That's kind of the precursor. That's your bellwether about whether you're gonna have more rides or not.
Right.
If only 10 people sign up, they're not going to take $1.7 million additional trips. Be very, very busy people.
Yeah.
Anyone? I see Hunter, one of our guests, has a hand raised. Anyone object to?
I don't mind. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. By all means, Hunter, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Certainly.
There was an estimate that came out of the nonprofit group Livable Streets
Okay.
that proposed eliminating fares on local buses would result in a $33 million loss of revenue. I'm not sure how they came up with that number, but it does compare favorably to the projected expenses in fiscal year 2026. Just in terms of implementing the reduced fare program, like, I'd need to see more about how Livable Streets come up with their number, but if they're estimating the combined savings adjusted against revenue or fare collection loss on buses to be 33 million, then that seems to be at least a contender.
Yeah. It's certainly for fiscal year 27. But what did they say about did they say anything about the operational costs?
They don't discuss operational costs.
All right.
I'm going to see if I can find more about the.
Okay. So Livable Streets. Okay, cool. So, well, like I said, look, this group can take on anything that it wants, regardless of how enthusiastic or unenthusiastic I am. But it's just that if you want to move it, then move it, and make the arguments for it, and then push it to the next level. I was kind of thinking about the discussion kind of within the scope of this, as opposed to what the proposal here, as opposed to going beyond it and trying to extend it to either all users, or at a different rate, but whatever people want to discuss.
Right. Quick question for both Hunter and for Winfield, and you don't have to answer. You can type in the chat. Are you able to stay on until 7 o'clock? And if not, let me know, because I've just got a bit of administrative committee business just to mention while you're still on.
Well,
Okay.
why don't we target doing all that before 6:30? Let's plan on a 6:30 wrap up, and then right, to make sure we're not.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay. Great.
Asking our guests, do you want to stay on for another hour
Yeah.
and 20 minutes.
Oh no, but yeah, but
Right
yeah,
now, it's staying on another hour and 20 minutes.
yeah, for Hunter and for
let's-
Winfield, I mean,
let's keep
yeah,
moving. Try to target 6:30.
exactly. Yeah, I'm saying that if you folks can't stay till 6:30, let me know. I'll just mention because it's a quick thing that we can do before you have to go. Okay.
Yeah, in that spirit, I think are we good on this topic?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
want to emphasize one thing about it, which is that the upcoming meeting schedule. Sorry, wrong tab. It was this one. The public meetings for this rollout start on the 12th of February and are in person for I'm sorry, I'm lying to you. Public meeting, proposed fare changes start
The 29th.
29th. Yes, sorry. I read my own screen more closely. Start on the 29th. In person, 1, 2, 3, 4,
All except for the last one, the 27th,
5,
which is virtual.
6. Yes, and they're all over the place. I saw Boston and Mattapan and Worcester and Lowell and other places that I can't remember. I think Chelsea. Only wrapping up with the only virtual one, as before mentioned, which somewhat conflicts, well, overlaps by an hour with our February meeting. I'm going to see if I can attend the one in Chelsea, the in-person meeting in Chelsea. I think I can make that happen.
For you.
And if I have an opportunity at the Chelsea meeting, if I can make that, if there's not any, and I mentioned this specifically for Craig because you raised up a very good point, Craig, about the technical implementation details. I think I agree that at the public meetings in person, I'll ask if there's not coverage of that at those public meetings in person.
Appreciate
Maybe
that.
I'll get one of those people to come to our, maybe not the 27th because that would conflict with the folks being in their virtual one, but maybe for one of our March meetings.
Well, I think they want to wrap this up with the board. I'm not quite sure, but I think on the timeline is when they intend to get back to the board, but maybe that's just in March. What I would suggest, if you really want more detail, and sooner rather than later, is reach out to Stephen Povich, the guy who presented this deck. The name is familiar. It kind of makes me think that we've talked with him, and so I'll look at my email, but the name's familiar. So
It
you might.
sounds a lot like POFTech, so it's I think
No,
that's right.
no, yeah, no, that's not why, but I know what you mean. Actually, initially I thought that too, but no, I'll look at my mail. I'm pretty sure I've had email from him, and so I think we can get the information that we want,
Yeah, I mean that's probably a good way to do it.
as granular as we want. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
and
Jack.
the only other piece I would poke on would be, is there any training for drivers? So all of a sudden I get somebody who boards a bus and says, no, I'm a special fare. Are we, what do bus drivers need to learn about that?
Yeah.
What's the appropriate response?
Right.
Because generally speaking, we try not to put the operators in a position to have to defend things
Yes.
or make judgment calls and stuff like that.
And it's interesting that you brought that up because there's another deck about violence against
Right.
bus drivers that was covered in pretty good detail. One of the flashpoints is about fares. So we might get to that tonight.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. Yep. Oh, and I just happened to notice, again, this is my fault for not reading this closely and just skimming it, but there it is right there. 8 million trips increase 2.5%. So good math, Len, in your head there. You pretty much nailed it. You said it was something like 2 to 4, and they're
Yeah.
saying 2.5%.
Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah.
Well done.
I didn't remember this. I did read this. I remember reading this, so maybe it was just kind of stuck in there. I was just trying to do some math based on what I remember as the unlinked trips, from pre-pandemic, So.
Yep. Well, very well done.
Well, thank you. Take compliments any way I can get them.
Very good. Okay. Let me flip back to our agenda. I can entertain going to any other topic at the moment. We can jump
Well,
around.
well, if you want to get depressed, I mean, look at the pro forma for the next 5 years. Like, oh my goodness. Oh
Okay.
my goodness. Man. Oh. Like, oh.
That was
So,
was that also in the audit and finance, or was that in the
yeah. It's hard to
I mean,
finance. I mean, and some
okay.
information seems to be lost, like projected revenue, expense growth. You know, so and
I have that that
I'll
presentation
see
right
if I
here.
can find that. But the projection
This
is
is
just
this is the one,
really,
right?
yeah, that's the one. And let's see which page I want to go to. Yeah, very depressing.
Yeah, and I'll put the link in for folks as well. Okay, Wig, I just saw what you put in the chat. All right. Sorry that you have to go. I mean, are you going to try to reconnect from home, or is that it for you for tonight? Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Wig.
Well, I thought there was a table that kind of laid out the deficits be for each of the next 5 years.
I think I
Sure,
saw that
there
right.
was one. I'm just not remembering where it is.
I think I saw that. Was it a table?
Oh, maybe it wasn't a table.
I mean, the final slide is pretty depressing.
The very last one.
Yeah, the conclusion slide is pretty depressing.
Oh, the conclusion slide. Okay, which I think is different than the very last slide. Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, I think in the very near future, I mean, we'll be looking at a $500 million deficit, and by fiscal year 29, it'll be like a $900 million deficit, which is just huge. You know, uh, so but what's interesting too was that when they looked at the peer transit agencies, as they call them, they're all running deficits too, pretty hefty deficits. It's an average of 300 million. The only one that doesn't have a deficit is New York, which is going to have like $1 billion surplus.
What?
Now, and so
I think
we.
that's because of congestion pricing.
It's because of a bunch of factors, Mead. So they actually tell us what they're all about. They did like a MTA case analysis, on slide number 24.
Stefan, can you put those pie charts back up? Well,
Yeah.
talking. Sorry.
Oh, that's the history of fun. Oh, so is that the one? I'm sorry, that wasn't the one I was looking at. No wonder I wasn't seeing what you were looking at.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I
It
pulled
looks
up.
similar enough, but that's the history, So
Okay.
I guess that's for the newbies on the board. So it's like.
Okay. Was that?
But
You said
Craig
that
wants
was
to look
out
at
of
this as
the.
well.
That was
That
out
was
of the.
for?
I'm not sure why me looking at the 2023 makes me a newbie, but okay.
No, not you. So they're talking about the history of the funding. So I think they talk about how it started in 2000.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah.
so
Sorry.
they're
Yeah,
talking about.
I was just comparing and
Yeah.
contrasting the two the 20 to 2023 to see what's different.
Yeah.
You're talking about this one, Len?
Yeah. And there's not newbies on this board. There's newbies on the board director. Right. Yeah.
And this is this is pure ridership.
That's ridership. Yeah.
Which only affects if you're tying back to the financials, right? It only ties back to the piece that's funded by fare revenue as opposed to the vast majority that's not fare revenue.
Right.
Right. So that's where they go next, is into the fare revenue projection.
So
where did you see the New York billion in excess? Is that what
excess? Yeah, and so let me find. So that slide number is slide number 17.
Okay. Slide number 17, zipping ahead.
There we go. That's it.
That's the one.
So we see in fiscal year 25, Vermont down 750.
Holy
New York's up
mackerel.
1.6 billion, because these are in millions,
Right.
Bart's like up 100 million, but they quickly go into deficit the following year. So, and they explain how MTA, is so healthy because they were in bad shape, but they have done some pretty interesting things, in terms of bringing in revenue. It might be, and well, they clearly put it here as food for thought, for what we might be able to do
Yeah.
in our area. And if you go to scroll up to slide, I thought there was a table, but I'm just not remembering properly.
I'll go to it.
So on slide number 6, so budget gaps in fiscal year 25 range from 567 million to 652 million and grow between 799 million and 902 million by fiscal year 29. This budget that we're putting together is going to be quite a challenge. Because I guess the state's been giving us like 300 million, and they say even what the state's been giving us, it's not going to fill the gap. So between that, and the state's seeing revenues coming in lower than projected, we've got a challenge ahead of us. And this is just on the operating side, So
I wonder what is significantly impact.
Well, what do you mean? What's causing the deficit more? Anything else?
No, I know. I'm just wondering what, somebody had it in their head to write that the workforce assessment could significantly impact budget gaps. And I'm wondering what is significantly. That's a rhetorical question for right now.
Well, the workforce assessment, right, is hiring more people, right?
Right. I'm just wondering, what's the scale of significantly impact?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think probably I don't know if there are the line items in there for us to see how much more we're paying in salaries. What is interesting, and there are some decks I haven't read yet that I just didn't get to and can talk about them in our meeting in 2 weeks, is that even though we hired a lot of people this last year, we also lost, a lot of people, lost around like 350 employees, which is like the second highest that we've lost in the last probably 8 or so years. So some of them were due to retirements, but a significant number of them weren't. So my whole point though is that even though we're really trying to build up the workforce because we really need the employees, we're still having some attrition. So I'm not sure to what extent the workforce assessment is contributing as greatly to the deficit as it might if we were actually having the size of the workforce as we want. I'm still very strongly in favor of having the huge workforce that we need. We just really need to figure out how to pay for a system that we need and want. And hopefully not make a mistake that we did, that we've been making, where we don't do that. And then we wonder why the system isn't working.
Right. Hunter has put a couple things in the Zoom chat, and just for the sake of anyone who's listening or listens later on YouTube without access to a screen reader, I'll just read them out because I think those are good points. Hunter said, it looks as though the MBTA is funded, MTA meaning New York, is being funded through a variety of taxes, but they aren't looked at as state or local subsidies. Then payroll, rental vehicle, taxi license, gas, real estate, and tolls are all significant revenue streams that the MTA has access to, whereas the MBTA is only supported by sales tax as far as Hunter knows. Again, that's from Hunter in the Zoom chat. Thank you for that.
Well, if you look at the slide 24, it tells you where the substantial new funding for the MTA's come from. Because as they stated in the first paragraph,
Oh,
the
yes.
MTA was having significant problems at the beginning of the year, beginning of fiscal year 23. Because I guess at the beginning of, I think either beginning of the fiscal year 24 or or 23, I guess they had like $1 billion deficit. So they had put in some measures that reversed that in a pretty impressive way.
I'll say.
So they have like the payroll mobility tax on employers.
Yeah. Any corporate tax surcharge? I wonder if they are not concerned about flight out of the state. It seems like whenever Massachusetts talks about that type of tax increase, it's always countered by, well, we don't want residents or businesses to leave for other states.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if New York just isn't concerned about that legitimately or
Maybe they're concerned about residents and businesses leaving for another state with a functioning transit system.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
So anyway, it's just
Yeah.
explaining, so.
Yep.
So there's that, and so I'm done with discussing the pro forma stuff, unless people want to continue. So
Craig, Jacob, anything more for the discussion of the funding or fares?
I think that this is interesting that it actually suggests this is the barest inkling of the T saying give us more money.
What's that?
This is this could be read as the T sticking their necks out after however many decades and saying we need more funding.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly encouraging.
Yeah. While the numbers are so large now, there's just no way to squeeze it out, and so I mean we in the past decades, have squeezed it out by keeping the head count low, and now we've realized that doesn't work, and we're actually expanding head count, but we have reduced revenue because the fare revenue is down significantly. Increased costs because a lot of things are just costing more, and we're now having more people on board, and we're losing the emergency funding that we got for COVID. So a whole bunch of things are coming together, and I guess the state has given us some money, additional money, but it's all going towards those FTA safety directives, which is part of the reason we're hiring more people, but also we're just doing more work in order to get the system back up to snuff.
Yep.
So maybe we'll save the CIP stuff for the next meeting. I'm gonna see. They're about to go on tour to getting input, so I'm gonna see if I can get them to come and talk with us. I'll just say, since it's recorded, is that I'm very happy to see how they are being more and more transparent, and what's the word for it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think Jillian's still involved with the capital budget, so maybe I'll ask her to come and talk with us. So and maybe that can get that done for 2 weeks. So I think the thing that I mentioned, which I'm interested in, was the the violence thing against bus drivers. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
on the.
That was that the GM's report?
No, it wasn't the GM's report. And interestingly, I mean, we're not having the next full board meeting is in 3 days or
Yep.
2 days. It's on Thursday. It's on Thursday. So Employee Assault Task Force.
I got it. Yep, that was under the Health and Safety Subcommittee on what was that? Yeah, January 11th. Yep, I got it. Here we go.
So I just need to put a mask on. It's getting a little crowded here, and a lot of different voters going on.
That's okay.
Sensitive to.
And do the link for folks also. And
Wait for me.
Oh yeah, we can hear you fine. Yep.
I didn't think you were waiting for me. So I would say, why don't you just go through this as you want it? If you've been through it, you probably know the salient points. If you haven't, then you can discover them on your own.
Was there anything that you wanted to call out specifically?
No, there's some interesting things, but nothing I really want to call out. Kind of interested in what other people call out on this.
I'm sorry, does this say bipartisan?
Yeah, I don't get what that
What?
meant. I didn't understand what that meant. So they pointed out there. I'm not quite sure. So
Oh,
yeah, I don't.
maybe that's a typo and they mean the partition on the bus? Wasn't that around the time that the
That would make more sense.
yeah. Oh, for folks who were wondering, yeah, Winfield in particular, expectorate assault is the term for spitting, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
oral emanations, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Expectorate, yeah, it's when you spit.
Expectorations, yeah,
Yeah.
it's spitting. And that's considered a physical assault.
Yeah. And I guess it's like for like doctors will use it too if they want to like do like saliva samples. They'll like expectorate into this tube,
Yep. Yeah, I remember like back, I think it was didn't Jane Austen write the novel Great Expectorations?
For crying out loud.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. But Jacob gave a verbal moan, and I saw Craig grimace at the pun. So thank you.
We should just end the meeting at this point.
No. But in all seriousness, though, do you folks remember if the time frame for the rollout of the bus operator partitions was around 2023?
That would have been a year ago. I think it's longer than that, right?
That's what it seems like. It's been longer than that, but
And And I'm
I'm
just
trying to
gonna,
think of what could have been. I mean, bipartisan doesn't make any
it
sense
doesn't
to
make
me,
any sense. Yeah, it doesn't.
but it sounds a bit like partition, and that's what they rolled out was movable partitions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could ask Dave Carney about that. I mean, he's doing more than just bus, of course.
Uh, I mean, but the BIL, didn't the BIL get passed? I mean, well, did anything? I don't think anything got passed. Being the first, first quarter of last year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I only know BIL as Boston Independent Living. What's
No, the bipartisan infrastructure law, but I don't think that happened with the new Congress. I mean, so it probably was at the end of the last Congress. You know,
okay?
yeah. So I was just trying to really make some sense of the bipartisan change. So yeah, well, maybe we can ask Bill. I mean, Dave to come and talk with us. I mean, in 2 weeks too. You know,
Yeah.
so you know,
Oh my God. Okay, that hadn't registered before, or
what,
maybe I missed it completely.
what?
Nubian station has that much of a higher rate.
Yes, well, and most of it,
Wow.
most it's verbal. So
Well, true, but I mean,
it has like three times the verbal. The next highest.
well, I mean, but look at
Uh,
the weapon.
the
I
weapon
mean,
one is
that's huge.
that is huge. It's like the number's pretty low. For the
Well,
others. You know, you know,
that's true, and we are looking at
the physical
2020. What's that? Is that three? It's a 3-year period, right?
3 year period.
Yeah. Okay,
You
but
know,
still,
yeah. I mean, the verbals I think is notable because I think the ends are high enough there that you can kind of say, okay, these are decent comparisons.
yeah.
So when you say it's like it's three times as high, well, it's like 30 versus 11. Whereas
Yep.
when it's 6 versus 1, then it's like, well, no. I mean, when you have one, then anything, is like triple, quadruple way in that number. So the physicals I find the physicals for the amount of verbal violence to be surprisingly low. And so I was kind of surprised. Yeah, I was surprised at that to reiterate. So yeah, so that's by locations and then
And then by
uh
route, yeah.
by route, uh, which corresponds to a certain extent, with the
Yes.
station, right? There's
Yep.
1 in 66 in the at Union Square. Yeah.
Right.
And,
Is there a
go ahead.
is there a transit police substation in the Nubian Square area? I have this vague memory that there
I thought
might have
I thought
been.
I thought there was. I recall there being one there when it was called Dudley. Yeah, I don't know if when it became Nubian, if that changed. I know there's been some redevelopment in that area. Fairly impressive development. I kind of remember being impressed even before the pandemic. I don't know how much more has gone on since then. And then that slide 12 kind of shows you the distribution. Physical distribution of all the cells, I guess. And then the next slide tells you about the flashpoints. So as I mentioned earlier, it seems like the number one cause of of incidents is fare disputes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I imagine the math compliance has gone down, in the recent. So those numbers are probably from the first 2 years of this period, in 2021 and maybe 22.
That's a good point. Is there a time series for these or individual?
Um,
Yes, there is. No, sorry, no, there isn't. Not by the breakdown of the flashpoint. No.
right, yeah, not really great. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
just
that's a very
haven't.
good point. Yeah, the flashpoint for masks has probably fallen way off.
I'd
Yes.
also be interested to note, so if you look at the route assault by route, The 28 is the second highest, and the biggest reason for driver assaults is fare disputes.
Yep.
And the biggest station for assaults is Nubian Square, where the 28 and a couple of the other fare-free routes are now terminating. So I'd be interested to know how much of a drop there's been in assaults as the fare-free pilot or the fare-free program on those routes took off.
Oh, geez, yeah. Because if the flashpoint is about fare dispute on a fare-free route, I mean that would defy logic. But I mean, we're talking about assaults, which sort of inherently defy logic in the first place.
I mean, this is flashpoints November. This is for all routes.
Right. That's true.
When I've generally, yeah, I think that these things get. Wow.
Well, I'll yeah.
This is interesting data.
Yeah. Yeah. Hunter's raised a hand. I'm going to acknowledge Hunter. Go right ahead.
Thank you. One of the I wanted to mention that it might be plausible to think that someone getting off of a fare-free route onto a fare-enforced route might be a flashpoint if you had like previously boarded the T, especially because I'm not sure how effective communication about the 23, 28, and 29 pilot program being fare-free specifically is when half the time I get on the bus and I'm not asked to pay a fare. So if someone is expecting not to be paying a fare and then that expectation changes, that would make sense as a flashpoint specifically around Nubian, since it's the convergence point of three of the or two of the three fare-free routes. That said, I think that was also a factor mentioned in the fare-free analysis, given that both fare disputes and dwell time are sort of significant impacts on service.
That's an interesting insight.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I'll point out Winfield comment in the Zoom chat. Raw numbers seem to be thankfully low, like none are over 100. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that comment?
Winfield put in the Zoom chat that just that the raw numbers seem thankfully low, and just wondering, how much can we conclude from the data set? It's always the case. I think it's difficult to make conclusions without even more data over time or a more detailed breakdown. I would love to see the raw data. I wonder if that could be requested, obtained.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I guess it depends on how raw you want,
Right.
So why don't we like try and have a conversation with Barney? That this is an issue we care about, and he knows we do.
Yeah. Oh,
if there are
definitely.
other things we want to talk with him about, we can talk to me. But I would also say like we care about this issue just by itself. Is there some other context in which we want to put it? So that we could have that larger conversation with them. I'm not saying that we have to have one. I'm just wondering, does it fit into a larger context? Now for me, I'll tell you, I sometimes feel unsafe on the train. And it usually has to do with homeless people who are acting up in a pretty intense way. And generally, I'm not so much concerned about being attacked. Although my concern, when I am concerned about being attacked, is that I will overreact, and then now I'm caught up in the legal system because I over defended myself, but the other is just that I'm concerned that I'll just be kind of collateral damage, because the fight breaks out, and then I get somehow injured. The whole point is just that it's just kind of stressful, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's just all stressful, um, and it's night and day between what it was before, between now and the pandemic. I mean, I would rarely be concerned, about who's going. Well, I'd really be concerned about what I'm going to see when I get on a car, before the pandemic. Usually my concern was that, okay, well, especially like on a weekend night or something, late, some drunken people get on and they have to deal with that. But now it's like I get on a car, it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to be on the car, and do I have if I get on a car that's a little sketchy, maybe can I get onto another car pretty soon, So
Yep, understood.
but maybe this might be beyond Dave's realm. But if he comes and he talks to me, I may bring it up and say, what do you think is a potential solution to this? Beyond the greater social problems that we have. We'll say,
Right.
it's the greater social problems that we have.
Well, I noted the bullet here about benchmarking other agencies, and they call out Miami-Dade. Oh, okay. I have no reason to doubt Miami-Dade, but I mean, I hope there's more than that. I mean, I hope that there'd be benchmarking done from more comparable, MTA, MARTA, SEPTA. I mean, comparable large cities, but maybe
Well,
I don't know something about Miami-Dade that makes it applicable.
well, I think they might be comparing the bus networks, right? I mean, so it might be saying that their bus network is comparable to ours,
Oh,
But
okay.
if what you're saying is that you have to have a comparable train network because that involves connections that you don't have. It's only buses. I can see that it's an argument too, but we could ask,
No, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking connections with rail as much as just the the size and scale of the municipality
right.
having a rail system in addition to the buses is just, to compare. Oh, I hate the cliche, but compare apples to apples. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right that Miami-Dade might have a bus system that's comparable to MBTA, and the rail might be completely irrelevant. Yeah, like I said, I was just thinking of the
Yeah,
municipality, just raw comparison, but
right. And I have a little bit of
yeah,
exposure to
yeah,
the
good point.
Miami-Dade system. It'll be one of these cases where you have little exposure and I have a little more so that I can say, hey, I have 10 times as much exposure as you do because they came
You have
a
10
bunch
to
of them.
the 6 power more
Yeah, yeah.
exposure to Miami-Dade than I do. So
They
please,
they
yeah, go right ahead.
their members of their MPO came to visit us. I think it was last year. And so we had a little of a kind of knowledge exchange. So they pointed out some of the similarities. Of their system to ours. And part of it though was that, well, regardless of how different they think the systems are, the people pretty much the same. They point out the similarities. Of the way people, especially with respect to transportation projects. So it may be because of that connection that they were able to have some conversations with folks in Miami-Dade and then came to the conclusion, comparing our two systems for this kind of data, is appropriate, because one thing I do not do from having, worked with a bunch of people across the system, the MBTA and the MPO is that the folks are smart and they really know how to think through things, and they may not come to the same conclusion that I do, initially, but generally when I listen to them explain why it is that they came to the conclusion that they did, I end up changing my mind. All right, I get why you did it that way. You know.
Very good point. Yep.
Hey, Stefan, there are national transit database comparisons usually after year end. among the major metropolitan systems. So,
Even to the levels of like assault rates.
well,
Oh,
I would think
I
that
didn't
that
know
would
that.
come up from time to time. You know, it's not the same reports every year, but there's some pretty good sharing of information.
Mhm.
And maybe, I'm sorry, Stefan, Stefan, wait, did I step on you? Did I interrupt you?
No,
Okay,
go,
all right.
go.
So another reason that they may be comparing, thinking about having comparisons to Miami-Dade, and you were on that slide actually, which the next line underneath was that there's University of Florida Center for Urban Transportation Research.
Oh,
So I mean, I think they're supposed to. For some reason, I was thinking they were going to submit data there. I mean, but
oh,
maybe I thought they had to submit data someplace. I mean, for some reason, I thought that was where they were submitting it, but maybe I just conflated a couple of things when I was reading it quickly. Yeah.
right.
So towards the end, I mean, this phone app that they're talking about reporting
Yeah.
is the who has this phone app? I mean, like who has the phone that the app is on? Is the drivers? Because I thought the drivers didn't have phones on the buses.
I think this is geared towards the public, right?
Okay, that's what I thought so too. All
The
right.
final thing, yeah, and educate public on. I mean, it sounds like a for the public. Well, let's see. If I go to this, I haven't gone to this link. Go
So
alerts.ealerts.com MBTA, which is not loading. That's interesting. Do I need to force
Good
HTTP?
sign.
what do you say? I think someone said something.
Oh
That's
yeah,
a good sign.
yeah, it's not a good sign at all. What on earth? Okay, I had to chop off the www. That's interesting. All right, well, chopping off the www, and we get, yeah, this looks like the new front end. I haven't done a see say something say something since 2019 personally.
Right.
This just looks like yeah, this looks like exactly what I remember. It's just in a different posting.
Right.
Alerts.com. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if this is indication that they vetted an external vendor for this service as opposed to continuing to support their own in-house, then I think that was a good decision because over the years of, I think I probably used the MBTA's own app or system, for lack of a better term, to submit various things, probably about a half a dozen times over the years, and I was just never very impressed.
Right.
I felt it to be very lacking. So if now that it looks like it's been put out to a vendor, I support that.
Well, I want to respect the other co-chairs' wishes to end this thing at 6:30 and stop talking and note to that chair. I mean, at 6:30. And so, Mr. Chair, Mr. Co-chair, what would you like to do?
Well, I would like to continue on talking about more no more things, but we definitely do not have to. So
Did you have a specific item you wanted for the guests before we move on to additional conversation?
well,
Was
yeah,
there, was
just
there, were there any administrative items you wanted to cover quickly to just make sure we cross
yes.
those out before people start dropping?
Yes, I did. And specifically, this is just aimed at our two guests, Winfield and Hunter. Apologies if I'm addressing you by first name inappropriately, but in a very casual way. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining us, which I already did, but also in particular, our committee has vacant seats on it. So again, Hunter and Winfield, as members of the public who joined us this evening, that inherently shows a level of interest. And if you would like to consider joining this committee, we would be happy to entertain your application or your interest in that. I think we have probably about 4 or 5 empty seats at the moment. My personal goal as co-chair is to get us back up to at least 8 or 9 in this calendar year 2024. Okay, okay, thank you, Winfield. Okay. But anyway, for Winfield and Hunter, please do spread the word at least. I mean, so Winfield, if you're a Rhode Island person, but you know folks in the Boston area who are transit focused and would be interested in participating in our organization, we would like to hear from them.
Well, I mean,
And Hunter, yeah.
not to
Wait,
sound,
sorry, Len.
yeah,
Go
not to sound like needy or anything, but the T does run. I mean, the commuter rail runs to Providence. I mean, so it would include Rhode Island. I mean, if you were interested, that wouldn't be a disqualifying factor. So
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, and I am very open about the fact that I'm a Lynn resident working from home since the pandemic, so I have not been a regular rider by any means, but I still feel that I can adequately provide oversight and
your grandfather then.
thank you. Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah, yeah, don't let the gray beard be a grandfather reference, right? Well, Hunter, if you are interested, can you drop an email to our email address, which is actually you can just find it right on.
Or send it to you. Or send it to you.
Yeah, well, I was actually just going to be cheating and sort of saying our website is mbtaroc.org,
Yeah.
but you can also send a comment to us through the contact form, or you can just email us there. And as far as like a screening process, it's not very formal at all. So again, spread the word for Hunter and Winfield. We're looking to boost up our committee membership. We haven't done so after a bit of attrition during the pandemic. I think I'll leave it at that, enough said. And thank you for letting me do that little bit of administrative detail, folks.
And you don't have to join to participate in the meetings also. I mean,
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Oh right, right. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you can
yeah,
just join us
yeah,
on a regular basis. I mean, yeah,
yeah,
we've had people who were just attending on a regular
yeah,
basis to contribute, and that's more than welcome.
yeah.
Yes,
Or
thank
even
you, Len.
or even irregular. You just drop by anytime. You
Yes, yes,
try and
and
get the agenda
tell
out.
people spread the
Yeah,
word on that too. Yeah, yeah. I need to as one of the two co-chairs, but Wig, you and I need to team up at some point, maybe in this month. I'm sorry, next month because we're at the end of the month, and come up with some online forums that have a lot of similar-minded folks where we can put out a message saying, "Hey, Rider Oversight Committee, this is what we do. This is who we are," and make I don't want to say appeal exactly, but remind folks in the community of the role that we play.
Yeah, I'd be happy to brainstorm a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of crafting a message. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. I think it's more a question of what are the forums by which we would reach folks. Oh, and Jacob, I meant to ask you the last time that we talked to you, do you have anything new coming in from Twitter, or was there anything that you particularly put out on Twitter, aka X, lately that's worthy of note?
Since the API changes that basically knocked out two-factor authentication, I have been locked out of the account and unable to post.
Oh, you can't get in?
I can try. I haven't for a while.
I see.
I've been focusing more on posting on Mastodon, but not too much has been there.
Yeah, that's fine.
I can try to.
That's
I
fine.
should be able to get into some of the old accounts. I'll try.
That's fine. If you can't, let me know. I mean, I haven't checked it out either in a long time. I just figured you were checking it out. So TFA is no longer working on X/Twitter.
I was scared that it wouldn't.
Right.
Also, just the platform has become bad.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, we can always just like if we're not using it, then we just discontinue it. I think it's probably better to just like kill it, or suspend it rather than having people think it's active and we're not paying attention to it. So you say the word, Jacob, if you don't want to tend to it and no one else does, then we'll just suspend it.
Okay,
All right.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Actually, we might. That'd be really helpful in field.
What was that?
Oh, Winfield put into the Zoom chat an extra Skype
Blue sky.
byte code
invite.
if we need to use it. Yeah, Jacob, I'll leave it up to you if you want to supply a contact in means to Winfield, or Winfield, you could just email roc@mbtaroc.org. Whatever you folks want to do.
Got it.
Oh, thanks, Hunter. So
Yeah, and thank you, Winfield.
So how'd you find out about us, Hunter?
The internet, I don't know.
Yeah.
That works.
I grew up in Brookline and I moved back here a couple months ago after finishing my degree, and so and wanted to get engaged with something. And the issue that I've decided I felt the strongest about was transit. And so a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago now, I started blogging on Tumblr as MBTA unofficial.
Nice.
Oh,
And
wait, that's you?
wait,
Oh, sorry.
do you
I was
follow
thinking about-
MBTA unofficial?
I got you confused with Amtrak unofficial.
No, I am not Amtrak official. I am MBTA unofficial.
Amtrak official is just, oh.
Yes. Anyway, I like got a bunch of people following me because I was cracking jokes about how the MBTA sucks, which good punchline.
It's having its issues, and,
Yep.
and one can say whatever it's doing is not doing it very well.
Yeah.
So,
But then doing that, I've also made a bunch of like gotten people engaged in policy conversations, and then I realized
Excellent.
that like taking that engagement offline to here would probably be a really good use of that, especially if I can keep growing the blog.
yeah, well, certainly interested in what youth and young adults envision transit as being like, what they would like for a transit system to look like and how it functions, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, because we do some long range planning.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be really good to know what people would like it to be like then, rather than designing a system that's more like the status quo, only to have it be something that people don't want later on, So yeah, please talk it up, and tell people that we just really want information. If they want to participate, better, but just tell us what's on their minds. You could be the vector for that.
Yeah. I'm definitely directing people here. Although I don't think it doesn't look like anybody else from Tumblr showed up here. But
That's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah. The return on investment for civic engagement is really low. So
Right.
don't it just is. Everyone struggles with it, and not firmly, but I'm coming to the conclusion that only about 3% of the people are really going to do civic engagement in any meaningful way.
Oh wait, sorry,
that?
I'm seeing in the chat. Winfield Swanson, are you I think I might know what blog
I'm
you
the
are.
tunic lunatic.
So,
Excellent.
but you got the invite from the image that I posted to invite people to come to this meeting was the helicopter shot of the orange line on fire.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it was, and the day was wrong. It was yesterday, you said.
No, I said that I had the right date, but then I thought that yesterday was the 23rd. Anyway, I don't want to derail.
That's okay. Well, if you're gonna do it, do it with flames. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna go out.
Yeah,
and you
don't want
might-
to derail. No pun intended.
you might as
Right.
well.
No pun intended. I didn't even mean to.
Yeah, you can't make a derail joke in a team meeting. Hey, I need to drop, but
right.
thank you all, and we will we'll talk soon.
All right, take care. Great.
Yep,
Happy
absolutely.
New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's probably worthy of note that this meeting, the fourth Tuesday, the fourth Tuesday of the month, is only one of the two that we have every month. We combined our two subcommittee meetings to make it easier on everybody. So if you gents want to make note of this link, this is not a webinar format. This is a little more casual. Here, I'll put this into the. I believe I can just copy and paste that successfully, right? Yeah. Yes, so that's for the subcommittees where it's pretty much the same format of discussing topics at will. Often a guest, as we were just saying, we might hopefully we can get Dave Carney, whose title is now Deputy GM for operations.
Yeah,
I won't take the time to look it up,
they've been
but yeah,
changing so much.
he's a longtime friend of this organization and a absolute font of knowledge and policy and one of the best things to happen to the MBTA since.
Gonneville. I mean,
There you go. Yeah.
Before Gonneville, I mean, all the,
I can't even compare. I mean, you know,
all-
Dave Carney is beyond compare.
well, they're all good, you know.
Oh yeah,
on
yeah,
that
that's true.
level, you know, Steve Hicks, you know. So, but the other thing, the big difference between that meeting and this one are two. One is that this one's recorded and put on YouTube. The other one isn't. You know,
Yes,
and then there's
exactly.
and then-
Yeah, we don't
and there's-
record the subcommittee meetings. It's just it's not off the record. It's still a public meeting, but we don't stream. We don't
right,
record.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And the other is
and
that
it's the second Tuesday of the month. So
right.
second Tuesday, this link, not a webinar. Fourth Tuesday, the first link, same, register, webinar, YouTube as well as a Zoom recording. Yeah, I cut you off, Len. I'm sorry.
No problem. If I get email addresses, I can email you all the spreadsheet with the schedule for the meetings. Another thing is that Jonathan Belcher tends to be at that second meeting of the month, and he's a real wealth of knowledge about things.
Yeah,
all things T. Yeah, all things
Yeah.
rail generally in this area. Yeah. So.
Well, our schedule did James put our upcoming schedule up, or is it not yet?
I don't know. I sent things to James. I never really looked to see if it gets posted.
He may have.
I
He may.
kinda
Yeah, it
don't-
looks like he got rid of the. He had a widget up here for upcoming meetings down the side, but it looks like he dropped it. Maybe that's just because he didn't have the at the time when he updated the site most recently. Maybe he just didn't have it. We'll have to ask him about that. There used to be a list of like 6 months in advance upcoming meetings down the side.
Right.
I'll ask him about that.
All right. I can resend you the schedule, but I can email it to anyone who wants it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, let's see.
All right.
I've got 6:46, and I think we're kind of off into
Just call it that.
unstructured meeting territory, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Just
For
call it that.
for the tail end, we'll tell you what, Hunter and Winfield, would you care to express anything free form under the auspices of public comments? Because we adhere to Massachusetts state public meeting law, which means that at the beginning and end of every meeting, we entertain any open comments. It's obviously no foul language, no disparaging comments against individuals, but it's free form to express anything that you'd like to put on record. So feel free if you want. Don't even need to raise your hand. You can just go right ahead if you want to say anything.
All right. Well, this is very self-interested, but the thing I came into this looking for, which uh, why the T doesn't run trains down to Wickford Junction on weekends, which is what I'm still trying to find out, and I expect will take me several years to find out, but I am determined to get to the bottom of it.
So that's right next to, this is in Rhode Island, right next
Yes,
to
I believe
Providence.
It's
it's
the
still,
end of the
Right.
Providence Stoughton line.
yeah.
Right, right.
Am I correct? It's Providence, TF Green, Wickford Junction.
Yes,
And they don't
but
stick
only on weekdays.
Right.
and not, it's not even a flag stop on weekends.
No, it stops at Providence on weekends.
Oh, that's further. Oh, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm revealing
Yeah.
my ignorance about
I I
Rhode Island. You
I
know,
I believe there. Am I correct that there is either Rhode Island sponsored or the airport sponsored? There is a shuttle you can get from
I'm pretty sure
Providence
that
to the airport, right?
RIPTA pays for the MBTA in Rhode Island to some
Yeah.
extent.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're right though that without the train to Wickford Junction on a weekend, there's nothing. I mean, you can't. I don't believe I've ever heard about any.
There is a bus route.
There is. Oh, okay, good. I
Yes,
didn't know
it's
that.
just, but it's a lot longer.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Well, I mean, I
Well,
guess
for what is? Go ahead,
go
then,
ahead.
after you.
I was gonna say, I mean, the people that have to be Keolis, right?
Oh, exactly. Yes.
Huh.
And on our short list of guests to invite for the near future meetings is Michael Rooks, the Keolis head of operations. And we've had him, I think, 3 times before, and he is extremely forthcoming and very transparent about cost benefit, what their constraints are, what the demand model means towards running service for things like weekends at the outskirts of the line, so to speak. So yeah, I think if when we have Mike Rooks back, maybe you can invite him back for 4 weeks from now.
Let me
What do you
ask
think?
me. Well. So sorry, Winfield. What have you done in order to try to find out? Who have you contacted?
I just filled out that one of the public question feedback forms thing on the MBTA website. I don't remember exactly what
Okay.
it was, but it was something like, why doesn't the T run to Wickford on weekends?
Okay.
And they answered me back, yes, we do not run to Wickford Junction on weekends, sort of
Okay.
dodging the question.
That's fine. That's fine. I got you.
Oh, that's
I mean,
That was a bit
unfortunate.
discouraging.
no problem. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's not like you've asked me, folks that we were going to ask me, because if you already asked them, I was going to ask you what did they say. So you haven't. So we're not going down a pathway. So we can just reach out, I mean, and see what we know. You haven't talked to anyone in Rhode Island either, right? Like Ripta.
Not yet.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. So
Yeah.
let's start with our folks at the commuter rail. You know,
Yeah. I mean, I try to have a representative from Keolis joining us minimum once every 12 months. And my personal goal is 2 times in 12 months as they're available, as is relevant. And I think the last time we had Mr. Rooks here was midsummer. I think it was either May or June. So we're up on 6 month time frame.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll reach out to them too. I mean, we could have a meeting, but I'll just reach out and ask them. I mean, just in a quick
Okay.
email. It's like, do you know why? Try and get the answer as soon as possible. So we can still have them, but we try and get Winfield an answer. Right away.
True. That's very pragmatic. You're right.
At least the answer, the official answer, and then we can see what can be done with that. Do you have Winfield? Do you have a sense that there would be demand? To go get demand.
I have no idea. I'm a very idiosyncratic individual, but I feel like there could be some demand because it is somewhat close to the University of Rhode Island,
Yeah.
and I feel like there could be some like weekend university tourism sort of
Right.
thing.
All right, that's information I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right.
And Hunter, anything you want to say, add for like an official public comment?
There's only one thing that comes to mind that wasn't already brought up. And that was when I look at like a physical map of Boston, there's a pretty serious transit gulf between Dorchester, Mattapan, and Sowa.
Hmm.
And it's served by the Foxborough commuter rail line. But that service is pretty infrequent compared to the subway style service. And I guess I was like, it would probably be a 10-year plan capital, like serious capital engagement, like on the level of the Green Line extension to try and get some sort of expansion of service along that alignment that would bring accessible service to South Boston. But I am wondering if that's like how would one go about building something like that?
Well, I think the good news is that the next move that the board has approved, again, the time frame to be determined, but the board did approve a electrification project of the Fairmont line, which is the one I think you're talking about Fairmont line, right? The one I have on the screen here, South
Yeah,
Station,
Fairmount Foxborough.
all that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, this is
Okay, yeah.
exactly what I'm talking
Yep.
about.
So the short-term plan is for, at very least, South Station to Reedville via Fairmont to be electrified, with that allowing for closer to, I'm not going to say like rapid transit, but
Right.
closer to rapid transit service levels. And also, admittedly, I'm biased because I live in Lynn, the same electrification from at least North Station, Chelsea, maybe a new stop at Riverworks to be determined, at least to Lynn, maybe electrified to Swampscott, probably not Salem, but those are the
Right.
two, the Fairmont line and the Eastern route, as it's called, Newburyport, Rockport line to Lynn electrification is the first step that's been approved. So
Right. That makes sense.
I don't know if
Like,
that's what you already knew. I might be telling you something you already
I
knew.
mean, like electrification is obviously like an important step towards
Yep.
running more service, and also just to decrease in operating costs over time, like
Right.
and a more climate friendly step, and just like overall good thing. Um, mostly I see this as like something I want to put on the horizon, not something I'm specifically looking to move towards in any immediate fashion.
So, I mean, we're supposed to like do our next update. Like the T is supposed to every 5 years to like its long range plan. And it's been the frequency has been less than what it should be. I mean, the last one was on Focus 40. And my understanding is that T is getting ready to do its next iteration of this. And so that would be the time to put something like that being into the discussion. And so I think you're going to be in touch. I will reach out to Scott Hamway and see when they're planning on getting that process underway again. And
Thank you, Winfield.
so on, Winfield. So yeah, I mean, so that would be the way to get that into the hopper.
Yep. But the project idea is not even fallen by the wayside. This was just from what, a matter of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
4 weeks ago. Yeah. So this was a Globe article 4 weeks ago, almost exactly. And this is talking about, yeah, commuter rail operator up for renewal.
Right.
Yep. What would they do? Yeah. I mean, a lot of unanswered questions, but it's still out there.
For sure.
Yeah. I'll put this in the Zoom chat
So
too.
it's good to know that the next sort of long-term planning meeting is coming up.
Not quite sure when.
I'll definitely do more research and like draft a proposal of some kind for that. That's something I would appreciate some like
Sure.
That'd be great.
oversight with.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
that said, I do think I'm gonna go.
All right.
Thank you for the meeting.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Bye.
It was great to have you.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
and it's 6:57. So
If
any
you got,
other? Go ahead.
if you
Rick.
got email addresses from either of those guys, send it to me, please.
Yep,
Yeah, great.
I will. I will share them with the executive committee.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
I'm set with going to, maybe.
Yep.
So-
Wig, Jacob, any last things for to wrap it up? Oh, Wig, unmute, Wig.
I'm wondering what we know about the South Side Engine Terminal.
I haven't heard anything new.
Yeah, right.
Is there
I mean,
anything
it's
new
supposed
that
to
we
be-
should be looking for?
It's supposed to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, Widett Circle, right?
Well, it would take 2/3 of the load off the north side. I mean, it could, so it would be proportional.
So,
Two-thirds of the commuter rails go south.
I haven't heard anything new about that area for like 6 months or more, and even then, it wasn't even that new.
what brings it to mind 2 minutes before the end of the meeting, Wig? I'm just
Well,
curious.
That's fine.
That opens a huge amount of public transit capacity on Grand Junction.
Well, that will be something to bring up, I think, when we start that next iteration of the long range plan for the T. I feel like it's like the PMT. What does the PMT stand for? Do you remember, Wig? Yeah.
Program for Mass Transit.
Yeah,
What's that?
that sounds right.
PMT,
Oh, yeah,
Program for Mass Transit.
Yeah, so we're supposed to do that like every 5 years. Yeah. So I don't know if Scott's going to be leading it. I hope he does, but probably he won't be. He's probably moved on to some other position in the system. But he's still here.
Okay. Jacob, did you want to add something at the end? It sounded like you might have started to speak.
No, not really. No,
Okay,
I
just
didn't.
making sure.
All
right.
I did see that you added me on LinkedIn, so thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, of course, yeah. My goal for anything that we display, we display, that's got a link that I can copy and paste. My goal is to put into the Zoom chat, because then and I put it in the YouTube chat as well, so it's part of the permanent. This is how to get to it.
Well, motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second for that?
Second.
A second.
Thank you all.
All right.
And thanks for folks who are watching on YouTube, either live, I haven't looked, or later on in replay. Thank you, and see you in 2 weeks at the subcommittees.
Okay.
Thanks. Good night, all.
Night, night.